Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Q&A Special Education Foundation. I am Gabby Mansell, and I am a family navigator at the St. Louis ARC. So without further ado, I am going to turn this on over to Shannon and Tim.
Hi, thanks so much, Gabby, and good afternoon, and or whenever you may be watching this video, if you're watching it after the on recording. But I'm Tim Eby. I'm the executive director of the Special Education Foundation. Shannon Benedek, my colleague, is our programming communications manager at SEF, and we're here to share with you a little bit of information about what we do to help students with disabilities in St. Louis County. We'll bring up a screen and share some information with you about it. SEF, the Special Education Foundation, has been around since 1984. We'll be celebrating our 42nd year this year. And we have, over those 42 years, we have helped thousands and thousands of students that receive services from the special school district in St. Louis County. If you're not familiar with the special school district provides special education services to all of the schools, the 22 public school districts in St. Louis County, as well as operating five schools on their own, plus two other programs as well that they operate. The special school district serves about 23,000 students every year. They also operate the two vocational centers in St. Louis County, North Tech in North County and South Tech in South County, that provide career education for students. But our mission here at SEF is really to provide, to fill the holes and fill the gaps for students that receive SSD services. If tax dollars can't or won't pay for something, SEF steps in to help those students. And we do it in a whole variety of ways. Our vision is to be an indispensable partner with the special school district in assisting students. And we really do that in many, many ways. And I want to turn it over to Shannon to share with you a little bit more about the different programs that we have to offer.
Thanks, Tim. And as Tim mentioned, I'm the Program and Communications Manager here at the Special Education Foundation. And so through the variety of our different programs, we're able to help assist the students served by the special school district. One of those programs is our adaptive equipment. With that includes audiology. So for students who are aging out of SSD, that's all the way up to age 21, we provide through a grant from the Tillis Foundation some adaptive and assistive equipment for those students. So anyone who is currently using let's say an example, a communication device, an iPad to help them communicate, hearing aids, other types of adaptive equipment. We're able to then purchase for those students who are eligible for funding that equipment to use beyond the classroom. So once they have left SSD, the special school district, that equipment is turned back into special school district. And so we help provide that continuity of that equipment for them so that they can be successful once they leave the special school district. For students who need audiology equipment, that we provide that to any age. So they can be as young as 3 all the way up to age 21. And in addition to audiology equipment, we also provide eyeglass care as well. So we have a partnership with Mercy Optical. So for students who are eligible to receive funding from us for glasses, hearing aids, and other adaptive equipment, that is what that program encompasses. We do accept these applications on a year-round basis. It's typically during the school year, but we do provide them year-round. For our students that are at the special school district schools, we provide an Arts in the Classroom program. We know that it's sometimes challenging for students to be able to get out into specific venues in the county. So we bring these arts performances to the schools. That includes like Metro Theater Company. We've brought the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, Jazz St. Louis, the Metro Theater, the Black Rep Theater, Afriki Lolo. So we've got lots of different types of partnerships that we have. Opera on the Go is another one. So we like to bring those to the classroom, and that is from a grant from the Regional Arts Commission and the Pat and Ken Schutte Foundation as well. For teachers, we also have a program. We know that a lot of teachers will dip into their own pockets to pay for special projects that they want to implement with their students. And so we like to try to offset that by providing classroom grants to these teachers. So we have a program right now going on where teachers can apply for a grant. It's for the next following school year. So right now we're accepting applications for the 26-27 school year, and that we are accepting applications through March 21st. And so the teachers can apply for a grant up to $1,500, and they are allowed to apply twice. So we do have some funding available through different grants and mostly through private donations to fund those special projects for classroom teachers. We also have a critical needs program, which we have just actually rebranded as the Student Aid Fund for Emergencies. It's the SAFE acronym, SAFE. And basically, what we do is help provide for things that come up where students are going to be impacted by being successful in the classroom or something that interrupts their learning. We provide those critical needs or those emergency funds. Usually these applications can be turned around within 24 to 48 hours. And we work with our the family and community engagement social worker, Adrienne Eaglin. She handles all of these applications because a lot of times they're very sensitive in nature, and we like to keep those confidential. So these applications are usually submitted by a caseworker or social worker in the district for those kind of emergency supplies, hygiene supplies, certain uniforms, clothing, shoes. We've even provided things for people's homes. So those applications are accepted year round as well. We have some programs for our high school students. One of them is a leadership academy, and that is through a grant from the Sci Foundation. So we call it the Fred Sci Leadership Academy. This program is actually one that we run, and we have a coordinator who is also a special school district educator. Matt Mullering, is our coordinator for this program. And basically, what we do is we choose up to 20 students who apply and are nominated by their teachers. And they go out once per month throughout the community. And it's a 9-month program. So it starts in August, and then they go each month to a local area in the community. They go visit KMOV news station. They just went to the St. Louis Aquarium and Enterprise Center. They got to go out on the pitch and take a picture where the soccer players play. And what they do is they learn from different leaders in the community. They went to the Florissant Police Department, visited the county jail in Clayton, and so they really get to learn about leadership and different skills that it takes to be a leader. What's neat about this program is that these students have come together from all districts throughout the St. Louis County, and they actually gain some friendships as well. We have a graduation ceremony at the end of the program in May, and some of these students have never spoken in front of a live audience before, but they come well equipped to be able to provide a presentation. Usually it's 3 to 5 minutes of something they've learned. And they've just made some new friendships, and they're ready to take what they've learned and implement it back into the classroom. And I'll tell you briefly about another program that we've got for middle school students that we're piloting this year. But for other high school program that we have is our scholarship program. We have 3 different scholarships available. They're ranging anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. So we give about $32,500 out per year. We have 7 scholarships available. And this is also one that we accept teacher nominations. Usually they will nominate a student who is planning on going to post-secondary education somewhere. It doesn't have to be a 4-year university. It can be anywhere where they can obtain a college certificate or a certification program. It could be a trade school, a tech school. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a 4-year university. So the teachers will nominate the students, and then the students will fill out also an application, and then we review those. We have a timely deadline coming up at the end of the month, which is January 30th. So we're accepting applications now through then. And then we will usually award those out in late February so that they have enough time to get enrolled in school and give us that information so that we can submit scholarships on their behalf. And also the leadership program, that application that deadline is the end of February. So those are our high school programs. We also have another program to bridge the gap in education. We have a Kid to Camp program. So we provide camp scholarships for students, and it's any academic break. So we do accept these applications year round. They can apply for summer camp, they can apply for spring break camp, or they can apply for winter camp. So it's usually one camp per calendar year. Just so that we sometimes have limited funding. It runs out real fast because we know a lot of students want the entire summer to be able to go to camp. So those funds get eaten up pretty quickly. So that one we do accept year round. And then we have another program, which is an after-school program called the Autism Independence Project. This is something that we're in our second year of this project. And basically what it is it's a 16-week program for students who are on the autism spectrum, and they participate in online Zoom meetings. They do it twice per week for 32 sessions, so it's over a 16-week period. Basically, what it helps is they put them in cohorts of 6 like-minded students. So the students are carefully selected, and this is across the country. And they put them in cohorts of 6 students, and so they learn. They do role playing. They learn how to increase their independent skills, their social skills. They learn to communicate with one another. And so it's a program that's done after school, so it doesn't interrupt their academic learning during the school year. And then I'll go to the next slide where I can tell you about our other middle school program. This is our Junior Leaders Academy. This is a new pilot program that we're going to be having for the 26-27 school year. Like the Fred Tsai Leadership Academy, this one is geared more towards the middle school students. So students that are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that are interested in learning about leadership, wanting to, again, build self-confidence, independent skills, just strengthen their communication and problem solving. And with this program, it will be a smaller cohort of students. We'll take up to 10, and then they will also go out into the community. We still have yet to finalize the program, but they will actually participate in just 3 sessions. So again, once they've come back and participated in this program, they can implement the skills that they've learned and adapt them into their school day. And it will also help prepare them because maybe they want to be in the high school leadership program once they get into high school. So that is, in a nutshell, the programs that we offer. So there's lots of them. They can be found on our website. This QR code I think I gave on the other side, you can scan that QR code. It does take you to our website. And then if you go under the What We Do tab, all of our programs are listed there. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer them now, or I can turn it back to Tim to tell you a little bit more about us.
Yeah, I'll just interject momentarily if that's all right. We had a couple questions. One was a clarifying questions in regarding to the adaptive equipment. They're asking, is an SSD graduate getting a new device through you rather than continuing the use of their same equipment that the school would have lent them? Or
This
will
would
that be
be
different?
Great question. This would be a new device. So SSD owns all of the equipment that they use, so the student would turn in that equipment, and then they would apply for funding through us, and then we can provide that equipment, if they're eligible for approval. And it would be theirs.
Oh, that's so great. I love that. Another person was curious about the grant funding. They asked if you would need to, as the teacher, to specify exactly what the funds will be used for, or just including a list of what they're personally paying for.
Yes, so they would propose a project that they want to implement so the next school year, and then when they apply, it asks for what grades they serve, what disabilities they serve, and then we would ask for details on the project. We ask for even research base, the benefits of the program, what that project would entail, and then there is a product list. So if they can give us details, if somebody is asking for $1,200, we want to know what is that $1,200 being spent on. So they would need to include those details. And then what we do ask is that we also ask that they get permission from or talked about this project with their school principal or area coordinator to ensure that SSD cannot provide funds for this project. And then we usually just ask them to sign off on that because we sometimes want to make sure that whatever they're applying for, that the tax dollars won't cover that, or it's something that SSD cannot purchase for them.
But if
Okay.
I can just chime in on that, I think
Mm.
it for a lot of folks, they may not know how much teachers spend of their own dollars on projects, but I think the numbers are somewhere along the lines of $500 to $800 a year that a teacher will spend of their own money on school projects, and the Classroom Innovation Grant certainly help to try to offset that for smart ideas. And we have a list of all of the programs that we do fund on our website. So if teachers are interested in seeing some of the things that we funded, they can get ideas from us, and we are very happy to have ideas borrowed and that teachers apply. I think we're particularly interested here. There's a lot of teachers that don't know about this opportunity, and
Mhm.
all across the district. And so we really do encourage folks to spread the word if they wherever they're at in St. Louis County, if they have contact with teachers, to let teachers know that this opportunity exists if they are an SSD teacher. And we get a lot of applications from even non-teachers. They may be hearing and speech and whatnot that also apply for our classroom grants.
There's a document on our website that talks about helpful hints for applying. So it kind of gives them some tips to help them stand out and more what our reviewers are looking for in the way of that we would approve them. So they're welcome to read that. And if they want to see some examples of, we've been going around and visiting classrooms. So we like to see what projects they're doing. So a lot of these videos are on our YouTube channel as well, which is if you just search Special Education Foundation, our channel will come up there.
I just have one more question in regards to this, then we can move on to you, Tim. Our last question was in regards to the critical needs emergency funds, and they were curious if that stuff goes directly to the family or if it's more of like a reimbursement type of thing paid up front. Does it vary? I think we're just looking for a little bit more info there.
I would say the majority of it is usually something that we've purchased for that student. Yeah, it's not usually a reimbursement. It's something that they need like right now. So we try to turn those around and provide those for the student.
And to add to that, the process works through social workers, usually at the schools, who hear about a need for a student, and then there's an application process that they will work through Adrian Eglin with the Family and Communication Community Engagement Office at SSD. And so it's a process that if there's a need, a social worker or a teacher may see that and communicate through that office and make that application for that program. Also, wanted to just note quickly that the Critical Needs Program, if folks go to our website looking for that information, we have rebranded that just recently, and it's now known as SAFE, S-A-F-E, which is a Student Aid for Emergencies Fund, a Student Aid Fund for Emergencies. And so that's on our website now if you go there looking for the information about that. It looks like, Gabby, did notice too in the Q&A that there was a follow-up on the adaptive equipment piece as well.
They were curious about if the equipment received would be something through life. If it breaks, would they be able to apply for a new one?
That's a good question. Well, I don't know that we've ever had anything come up that we've replaced. Typically, once it's in their hands, it's theirs.
Yeah, and we
So,
do
yeah.
for like if it's an iPad that can be used as a communication device, what typically we'll do is we'll buy the app for that communications software for the iPad, and then we also will typically buy a 2-year warranty for that through Apple Care. And after that 2 years, the person is kind of on their own with that.
Yeah.
Is the typical way that we go about doing that.
Mhm.
Just to give folks the breadth of how we of the folks that we serve. we serve all of St. Louis County. There are 22 public school districts in St. Louis County, and obviously we are supporting thousands of students each year. Total number of students, and there's a little duplication here, but we serve close to 8,000 students a year with our different programs. The classroom grants that we've been talking about is by far the most impactful in terms of total number of students served. We gave out close to 90 grants this past year to teachers and educators all across St. Louis County for their students. And those grants impact students. It may be a handful of students at a time. It may be a large group of students at a school that receive the support through those grants. Our Arts in the Classroom, where we're bringing in arts performances to schools, impacts the SSD schools and most of those students in the SSD schools. Same with our principal grants that we give out to the SSD school principals, supporting that. Our critical needs program, one of the elements of that, we provide food kits, food baskets for students during winter and spring break to offset food insecurity. And those food baskets impact many, many students and families. And that's a big part of our critical needs program, now known as SAFE. And so you see the adaptive equipment, the Kids to Camp, our Fred Tsai Leadership Academy, and then we gave out 7 scholarships this past year. And the question that came in was, how do we pay for all of this? Well, we are totally reliant on the community for support. We do not receive any tax dollars through SSD or through the federal government or from the state government. The only thing close to any tax dollars that we do receive is we receive a grant from the Regional Arts Commission, which is funded through hotel motel taxes here in St. Louis and the St. Louis region to help fund our Arts in the Classroom program. But other than that, we are entirely reliant on the community. Events. We have 2 major events that we do, actually three major events that we do. A fundraising golf tournament, a charity golf tournament in October that raises a substantial amount of money for our services. We have a new event that is in its 3rd year this year in June called the Starfish Awards. If you're familiar with the Starfish story, that event acknowledges and recognizes people who are making a difference in the lives of students with disabilities. And we recognize those individuals at an event coming up in June. It's actually June 11th this year at the Reverie in Chesterfield, where we'll recognize folks who are making a difference in the lives of kids. We also receive a lot of foundation funding for our programs. Shannon alluded to a couple of the foundations that fund many of our programs. And then finally, we are also very reliant as well on individual and unrestricted donations from the community. Anything from $10 to whatever amount people want to give. We are very grateful for that community support. Overall, the organization this year, our budget is $750,000, and that funds the staff as well as all the programs that we put on for the thousands of students that we serve each year. And I think that's about it. Shannon, I'm not sure if there's more for us to cover, but we're happy to take any other questions if folks have questions for us.
So it looks like our last question is asking how you advertise to schools and families. They're just surprised they haven't heard about y'all yet.
You want to answer that, Tim, or you want me to?
No, you go right ahead,
Okay.
Shannon.
All right.
That's your wheelhouse.
Well, at the beginning of the year, we usually attend all of the district back to school orientations. We make a whirlwind trip around St. Louis County in about 2 week spans. We try to hit as many districts as we can to let them know. We have rack cards of information. We have social media channels. We have an Instagram page, a LinkedIn page, and a Facebook page. So if you want to engage in those, join us. I mean, we put out a lot of information on a daily basis. And then we also have a newsletter. So we have a 3 Things newsletter. We send out every Thursday morning. And then we resend those to non-openers on Friday so that, if you didn't get a chance to read it on Thursday, you can read it on Friday. We do have a sign up on our website if you want to join our mailing list. We'd be happy to have you just hearing more about us on a weekly basis. And then we also we put information in the SSD newsletter. So they send out a newsletter every week We are in there twice a month or every other week. And then they have a monthly spotlight that goes out to families that we get into that monthly as well. So I know those newsletters have a lot of information on them. So sometimes, it's kind of hard to find us, but we do have the information out there. And at the
The other piece, if folks just want to send us an email, you can just and say you want to be added to our newsletter list.
Yeah.
You can just send an email to info@sef-stl.org.
I have one last question. I'm not sure if you guys will understand it more maybe than I will. They're asking if you have any examples of how your services have been included or utilized in an IEP.
Typically, most everything we do is outside of the IEP.
Hmm.
Things like our Autism Independence Program project, that is something that's outside the IEP. It's something a student will participate in the evening. Same thing goes. I mean, we certainly offer the programs that help a student achieve many of their IEP goals. For example, going to camp can help a student in various ways, and we want to support that. If a student's family is receiving support through our SAFE program, our critical needs program, whether they're food kits or personal care items that we provide, that helps the students succeed because their life is going to be better. But in terms of we keep ourselves separate from what the IEPs are all about. That's SSD's job. But we feel that the programs certainly complement that and go to support the students in various ways. And we certainly want to help support students and their families, as well as the educators that educate those students in through all of these different programs. Shannon, do you have anything more to add on that?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the classroom teachers who are applying for classroom grants, they really will tailor their projects around their students' IEPs. So it may not be directly affected, but a lot of times they do keep those IEPs in mind when they are designing their project to submit to us.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add before I kind of do our little wrap up?
No, and I appreciate putting the link to the website there, www.sef-stl.org. You can get all the information that you want there, and we're happy to answer questions from folks if they have any interest in the services and how we can help their kids. I think the big thing that we want to just stress more than anything is that we do serve St. Louis County is our area geography wise that we serve. If you have a child that's outside of the county, we're happy to try to help direct you to those schools and how you might be able to help. But St. Louis County, we also will have opportunities to help kids who are receiving SNAP services who may be going to private schools or homeschooled that are receiving services from the special school district through the SNAP program, and we're there to help in some ways too for that.